our first, hopefully first and only, Safer at Home CAC meeting. Um, this is very weird for me because I'm used to being in a big room with all these, seeing these wonderful faces in person, and I hope that the comments are turned off on YouTube because I don't want to hear any comments about my COVID eyebrows or my COVID hair. But I just wanted to give a brief introduction. Like right now, the goal of our meeting is connection and information. So I'd like to introduce our CAC board. Right now, I'll start. My name is Robin Weckerly. I am the CAC chair. And I just wanted to say briefly, you know, me and my family are safe at home. We're doing really well. And you know, the thing that I miss the most during this school closure is the connection, is this community, is being able to meet up and have coffee with people, and also just the actual work of like CAC. Like 2 months ago, I had a lot of CAC work to do and a lot of like PTA plans and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden it went away. And it's been a challenge for me to sort of like have nothing to do. And so that's been the hardest part for me. But I'd like to introduce, let's go with Sam Holdren, our historian, CAC historian. She's on Zoom. Let's see.
Hi, I'm Samantha, the historian. As for me, I have two kids in the district, a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old. So mostly I'm just thankful that we are still getting along and haven't killed each other at this point. School-wise, we're doing okay. The biggest challenge is my son with autism has a major aversion to school with video, but it's getting better. He's been able to chat with his SPED team a bit lately, and that has really improved his outlook on the entire process. So thank you for that. He missed them so much. As a parent, I'm hopeful that this is going to help me understand what his team sees, and we'll be able to have better IEPs going forward because of this whole process. So thank you.
And Jen
Yates right there.
Hey everybody, this is Jen Yates, Communications Officer. I had been doing well up until yesterday. My son is actually sick. He doesn't necessarily have COVID or anything like that. He just has a stomach thing going on, so I'm a little bit stressed about that. However, it's been pretty good here. Besides that, we've really adjusted to our new schedule. It is very hectic for me, and you know, working full time. My husband works full time, but we're managing somehow with, you know, doing school in the morning and me working in the afternoon, and my husband kind of taking shifts here and there. And my son is 8, newly 8. My daughter is in kindergarten, and both of them they're doing pretty well with their Google Meets meetings, so I'm pleased about that. The rest of the day is another story, but again, I feel pretty good about it. Graham, my son, has autism, and he is getting very, very pleased with. He's getting twice a week his speech, and he's meeting with his RSP teacher twice a week, so it's been pretty cool. As well as his regular Zoom, or I keep calling it Zoom, but his Google Meets with his regular teacher. So that's all great. Let's, everybody, if you would just say a little prayer that he's well soon, I would appreciate it. And that's all I got to say.
Great. And Courtney, I think you're on there somewhere. Courtney, you're on it. I think if you speak up, maybe you'll pop up. No? Courtney Stewart is our secretary. Oh, there she is.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
You can. Oh, okay. Sorry. I guess if I use my headphones, I can't do that. Sorry, I'm multitasking today. I have my kid on her current, she's on with her teacher right now. So I was trying to use headphones, but if you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I guess over here, we're actually adjusting pretty well given the current situation. I think at this point, we've done self-isolation several times, you know, after the NICU and different surgeries and stuff. So we're kind of pros at self-isolating. But My daughter is in 4th grade, and she has autism. She's in the beginning, it was a little rough, missing her friends and missing her classmates and, you know, everything at school, her teacher, of course. But she's actually thriving with all the home learning opportunities she's been provided. Her teacher and all the support staff has made themselves available to us at any time if we need anything, and they've been reaching out since the beginning. So I kind of just want to say thank you to Mrs. Williams and all the staff at Emerson Parkside Academy for everything they've provided all the students. My daughter, like I said, she's thriving. She's doing really, really well. And I do give a huge amount of credit to that, to the organization of the principal there and all the staff just stepping up and doing so well during the transition and making us all feel confident that we could do this at home. So other than that, I don't have much to add. Right now, currently, we're up at Lake Arrowhead. My husband, he works out in the field, and we're able to tag along. So we feel actually kind of blessed that we're able to do this right now. And I'm able to be on here talking with all of you. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to you, Robin. And again, thank you, all of you there, board members, admin. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Courtney. I'm glad that you guys are all safe. We've seen each other on video, but we haven't seen each other in person, and it's been tough. But I'd now like to give it to Dr. Brown.
Hi, good afternoon. It's so nice to be with you virtually. We've missed you, and it's nice to have the opportunity to connect with you today. And one of the things we're learning in this experience is that every opportunity to connect, no matter how it happens, is a good one. So really nice to be with you. We have just a few members of our staff present in the room today, and I'll have them go ahead and introduce themselves. And then Robin also asked us to share how we're doing. So I feel just super appreciative and grateful to say that we and my family and folks at my house are doing just fine. A number of us have continued to work through this experience because there's a lot of work to do. And like all of you, the experience of juggling home and work and school all together, caring for family members, etc., has been quite a balancing act. But it's also created some really nice opportunities to slow down and take more bike rides and get outside and work in the yard and Zoom with family members that we might not always connect with. So I am feeling really grateful and just trying to live on the bright side of life as we work really hard to serve our community well. And I will say I'm not very good at 7th grade math. So you can all interpret that in the way that you may, but I've learned a lot recently about the curriculum in 7th grade. So Dr. Heenan.
Good afternoon, everybody. First, I want to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share information with you about special education services in the Long Beach community. But before I do that, I just have a quick message that I'd like to share. I know that it's been a difficult time for mostly everybody, but please know I'm really, really proud of our teachers, our staff, our service providers who immediately stepped up when we asked them to, and to really reinvent their teaching and also service provision for our service providers almost overnight. So I do want to send a message to our staff. I am so very grateful. And I wanted to thank the parents as well for supporting your students' learning at home and during this difficult time. Just one message is please allow yourself to make mistakes and to give yourself grace. Like Dr. Brown said, I don't have the ability to assist my son with math, but one of the things about that is, like my child, your child is not going to remember the math problem, but they are going to remember the time that you sat with them and you were with them through this time. And last, I want to reach out to our deaf and hard of hearing students, specifically who use American Sign Language. These are one of our most vulnerable students, groups of students who, without peers and without teachers who can communicate with them in sign language, can leave them extremely isolated even at home. So before we move into any questions, I just want to send a quick message to our DHH students in sign language so that they are included as our all means all mantra. So I just want to make sure the camera can, do you have me on? Okay.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Martin. I'm the special education curriculum leader, and I am just feeling very grateful for a lot of things right now. Grateful for being a part of the LBUSD community. I'm grateful that we have an opportunity today to talk to our CAC, all of our families, and just feeling grateful about my family and the time that I've been able to be with them. I can relate very much to many of you that I'm working full-time, and I have 3 children at home, 2 of which are Long Beach Unified students. So this journey of distance learning, I have the privilege of seeing the amazing work that our teachers are doing, and also being able to try my very best to be supportive as a parent. So I thank you guys for being here, and I hope we all leave with a little more clarity, and I can't echo enough the words of just having grace and patience with ourselves, and all we're doing is enough. We're doing all we can. So happy to be here. And who are we handing it off to?
I have the pleasure of introducing and recognizing Dr. Jill Baker, who is our newly appointed Superintendent of Schools. We had the real pleasure of celebrating her appointment. In fact, we're still celebrating her appointment to that very important position. And she has been a presence with us over the last couple of years in CAC meetings. She's regularly attended in the last couple of years, and certainly this year, and she is here today with a message and some words of encouragement for you. So Dr. Baker.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. It is great to be with all of you in community, even if it means from afar. And I hope some of you have connected with our video messages that we've been sharing via our district channel as well. So just in the spirit of what Robin asked us, I had a college student whose dorm closed who came home and made the transition back while I was working full-time. I could never have imagined how much work it can take even when schools are closed. But I'm so fortunate to come to actually this building every day, work as hard as I can with a team of people, including many of those who are in the room right now, who just are making it happen on behalf of our students and our families. So I feel really fortunate in that way. I love coming to CAC. It's been really a pleasure to be a part of the community. I love the opportunity to just experience alongside you what I think of as the lived experience of families and what it means to be a parent of a special needs child. I love the opportunity to watch you as leaders, as parent leaders, and the interaction with staff, to think about the way that you collaborate with us and that you focus on solutions. That has just been really amazing to watch you all do. Solutions that have come to things like the inclusive practices resolution and the support for the development of CCT in such an incredibly collaborative way. That has just been awesome to witness and to observe. I think, I've studied CAC's recommendations over time. That was a part of something that I've really watched closely, and I was really glad to be in the room this year with you all as Dr. Brown gave a mid-year update. There are many things that are still in progress, and along with our Board of Education, I'll be working with staff to make sure that we keep that focus going. Because it's important, your voices are important, and those recommendations are really important. wrote myself a couple of other notes. So just thinking about, and Robin opened with us, this difficult time and how the world has really been turned upside down for all of us, and especially worrying about our most fragile students, who many of whom you parent those students. And just want to reiterate what you're going to hear over and over again from us. We see you and your students, and we hear you and your students. We're listening, and you can just be assured that we are committed to All Means All. That does not go away because we're having a pandemic. And that doesn't go away when the pandemic takes us months to get through. That will continue to be our focus when Mr. Steinhauser and I transition officially this summer. You're going to continue to hear more and more about that and our issues, and our focus on equity, our Board of Education and our district's focus. Let's see, anything else I want to, I want to express just gratitude, thinking about that you all represent one of the things that across our nation people admire about our school district. They admire the way that CAC works collaboratively. They admire the policy setting and the direction setting that you help us to do. And you're part of what makes us LBUSD proud, or proud to be LBUSD. So I'm super excited to continue the work that you've started. And I can just assure you there will be a smooth transition this summer behind Mr. Steinhauser and me. So thank you for allowing me to welcome you and be a part of the crew down here. And I get the pleasure of introducing our Board of Education Vice President, Dr. Benitez.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be able to join you today. I wish we could be meeting in person, but we will soon. I miss everyone's, just the warmth of the feel of the space when we have our CAC meetings in person. I just have one question, though, before I share some comments. And then I'll share some comments in Spanish as well. I want to know where Dr. Brown's Wednesday wig is. I thought she was going to wear it today.
I'm glad you asked, and tune in a little later. I taped today, and it's a real good one today.
Okay, great.
Thank you for asking.
Dr. Brown's and Dr. Baker's messages, I mean, that's part of my daily routine now, so thank you for those. So I'm going to echo some of the sentiments that have already been shared. I'm so appreciative and thankful for all the effort and work that the staff and the teachers have done. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm even more impressed and amazed and just in awe of the wonderful, amazing, stupendous, miraculous. I mean, I can just come up with a list of adjectives of what parents and caretakers and guardians are doing at home every single day through this time. I hear about it, I read it, I see it on social media, and quite frankly, it's what drives me. I'm fortunate to be working from home with my second grader and just hearing about the amazing experiences that parents and students and guardians and caregivers are just amazing to me and inspiring. And I want to share that because my sense of hope through all of this, and we'll get through it, better, stronger, united, is just being fed daily by everyone stepping up. And so if we can do all of this, be so responsive and so proactive and so patient and flexible during the most difficult times, I am just so hopeful on all the stuff that we're gonna not just keep doing, but keep doing so much better when things stabilize, right? So if we talk about equity and all the effort going into that now, inclusion and all the effort going into that now, just imagine, right? Just imagine how much more we'll be able to do, even with a very slim and trim budget, because it's not gonna get any harder than what it's been the last couple months. And so I just want to express that because that's what's feeding me every day, that seeing folks just rise to the occasion, even in the midst of all of this, just makes me so hopeful, right, for the amazing work that we'll continue to do. So thank you to everyone. Si me permiten, ahora voy a compartir unas palabras en español. Primeramente le pregunté a la doctora Brown que si dónde estaba la peluca hoy, porque es una de las cosas que diariamente es parte de mi rutina, ver a los mensajes de video de la doctora Baker y la doctora Brown. Y me dijo a la doctora Brown que ya grabó su mensaje de hoy y lo vamos a ver entonces hoy. Pero primeramente quiero compartir mi aprecio por todo lo que han hecho todo el staff y todos los maestros y las maestras durante esta pandemia y esta situación muy difícil para tantas familias y estudiantes y miembros de nuestra comunidad. Pero a la misma vez estoy completamente lleno de esperanza con todo lo que he escuchado, todo lo que he visto, todo lo que he leído, de todo el sacrificio y todo el éxito y toda la flexibilidad y la paciencia y el ejemplo que han sido los padres de familia, los guardianes, los otros miembros de la familia con nuestros estudiantes, ¿verdad? Y realmente he visto historias milagrosas que están ocurriendo cada día en nuestras casas. Entonces me inspira, me motiva, me alimenta saber que todo este esfuerzo que se está haciendo hoy y que se ha estado haciendo por los últimos 2 meses va a seguir y vamos a tener tanto éxito en términos de brechas académicas, en términos de ser más equitativos, en términos de apoyar el éxito de todos los estudiantes. Voy a decir todos, quiere decir todos en español, ¿verdad? A la vez que digo all means all. Entonces me da mucha esperanza, ustedes me dan mucha esperanza y estoy muy, muy agradecido de poder participar aquí hoy. Desafortunadamente no en persona, pero muy pronto nos veremos en persona. Y gracias por inspirarme a mí, por inspirar a mi niña, que estoy afortunado de poder trabajar y estar aquí con mi estudiante del 2º grado. Y pues gracias por todos los esfuerzos, la flexibilidad y todo lo que están haciendo y ánimo, ¿verdad? Vamos a seguir con el ánimo de que se van a mejorar las cosas, porque si podemos ahorita, vamos a poder mucho, mucho más. Aunque tengamos un presupuesto limitado, vamos a seguir apoyando el éxito y avanzando. Gracias. Thank you.
Dr. Benitez, for joining us and for your message in 2 languages. We sincerely appreciate your support. We're also really fortunate to have Megan Kerr, member of our school board, with us. Thank you, Mrs. Kerr, for being here. She is gracious with us and actually shared that she's celebrating her 25th wedding anniversary today. So this marks our very first wedding anniversary celebration at CAC. I think we've celebrated some birthdays, but not a wedding anniversary. So Mrs. Kerr, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, and I apologize for the noise outside. It's so good to be with all of you. Like you said, when we connect in any way, it absolutely makes my heart sing. Today is one of the few days that I venture out because I, like many of you, have someone in my household who is really vulnerable to being sick. And if he was to get sick, it could be really devastating from a health perspective. So we've spent a lot of time hunkered down together, trying to be safe, working from home, including a college student who came home and just finished her semester on Friday. So I am grateful to be with all of you today to say thank you for all of the hard work, but also acknowledging that this is really difficult. If you had asked how I was going to be spending today, this was not the original plan. So I know that with the hope and the joy comes some disappointments, especially around things that are huge milestones for our kids. Those who are promoting, those who have their firsts and their lasts that are supposed to happen right now. So I want to expend or just send a ton of love and support to those families who are really feeling some loss at this time, in addition to the fear around what this can look like for us as families and communities. So thank you for holding strong and holding steady. Some of the work that I've been doing from home, in addition to the board work, has been to be able to represent your voices to some really important people. Yesterday, I was on a conference call, just a few of us, with Congressman Lowenthal, to talk about issues that are facing education, especially our special education students, and how can we actively support our families and students at this time, and how do we use people with positions of power and responsibility to really help move our needs forward. So I've been very fortunate to do that at the federal level with the Council of Great City Schools, as well as the California School Boards Association. So I'm grateful to be here to listen today, because I get to take your stories and struggles and triumphs back to meetings with people from all over the state and all over the country. And so the good work that you're doing and the hope that you bring is how we'll move forward. And it gives me the energy to continue to fight for what we need for our students as we move forward. So I just send you lots of love today. I'm grateful to be with you. I will be listening in today, and just continue to love each other, continue to support each other, and realize that we're all doing the best we can, and we will come out stronger. So thanks for having me today.
Thank you so much for everybody. Thank you, Dr. Baker, and you're allowed to sneak out. I just wanted to, so what we're doing here is we are having a little Q&A panel. When schools closed, you know, there was this sort of gap in access for our parents having access to admin, you know, at every month at CAC meeting. And so there's a lot of questions. And so we sent out a letter a couple weeks ago asking for questions and concerns. And when that letter went out, we got dozens of emails, like in the first hour. And so it was overwhelming to read, because there were a lot of recurring themes, but just to know that people were struggling felt, you know, very heavy. And so we've combined all those questions, and also off of Facebook groups, we have combined some questions, and that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna address the questions to certain people, but if you want to jump in at any time, please jump in and add. And it's weird for me to ask questions and not look at you, so
It's okay.
I forgive
Okay.
if I show you my backside. Just be kind, guys. It's a pandemic. Okay, so let's start. So I think the first question, and I should ask Dr. Baker, but like, what is the absolute latest information you can share about how school will resume in the fall? Like, breaking news, break it right here.
Right here. That is the million-dollar question, and a question that we are tirelessly working to answer. So one of the things I want to first say is that something that has been very a part of this experience for the decision makers has been the way that information changes so rapidly. I go back to March 12th at about 5 o'clock when we were not closing schools. And by 11 o'clock on March 13th, we had closed schools for 5 weeks. And so we are working all the time with our colleagues at the Long Beach Health Department for guidance. And when we work with the health department in a situation like this, they almost operate as the police do. They come alongside us, but when they give an order, it's an order that we accept and that we honor. So in relation to fall, what we have shared right now is that we will continue with the same school calendar, which brings staff back to work August 31st and school resuming on September 1st. But school is not going to look as it has in prior openings. To use Dr. Baker's words from last week, it isn't going to be business as usual. What you want to know is, so what is it going to look like? And what I can tell you is that we are working round the clock right now to answer that question, which is going to include a variety of different options. And more information is going to come as the next couple of weeks go by. We're really waiting in tandem for some information from our County Office of Education, as well as with our health department. And so I know for you at home right now, you're thinking, okay, she didn't answer the question. That's not what I wanted to hear. What I wanted to hear is what exactly is going to happen for fall. And so I just, as I always want to be with you, want to tell you really transparently, we're working on a number of ideas, and we're taking all the feedback that we're getting, and we are working really hard to have the best of possible options available to our community come September 1st, and more to come.
And there's a survey that's going to happen, right?
There's a survey that will deploy in the next week, and that will be for you to give input kind of through a thought exchange process, so that we can be hearing from you. And what we want to do with that is to take categories of information and learn from the feedback that you're giving us, which will be informed by the experience that you've had in the last 8 weeks. And we will be working to use as much of that feedback as we can in planning forward. So please, it will be worth your time to complete that survey and to share your perspective with us.
Yeah. Thought you were going to give us some late-breaking news.
Late-breaking.
Okay, that's fine. It's okay. Also, there was a Chromebook question. People who got Chromebooks were told to keep them till June 11th. Is there any way that people can keep them longer over the summer?
Yeah, we're in conversation about that right now. Again, to the point that everything we do opens up another set of questions about what we're going to do. We are in conversation about that right now, and you can expect communication directly from your school site coming very quickly about what we want in terms of the return of all items, the pickup of items that might still be at school, and then kind of a status update on the Chromebook. So be looking for correspondence from your school very quickly about that.
Okay, great. Okay, so the other big question is ESY, and you get the hot seat here. So, so you know, we all got the phone call yesterday that said, telling us about the deadline for summer school. So what can you tell us about what ESY, extended school year, will look like?
Okay, so just to clarify on the phone call that I think everybody got, we've received many calls from parents and the community about ESY, a little bit of anxiety about deadlines, and just know that we are extending the deadline for ESY. So we're asking parents, please make sure you log on to ParentView and register your student. If they are eligible for ESY, go ahead and register them online. One of the questions we got is from a parent saying, if my student is just receiving RSP services and is not eligible for ESY, can they come to ESY? And we are saying you must be eligible for ESY to be enrolled in the ESY programs. And like Dr. Brown said, things are changing by the minute. We're talking about some possible enrichment opportunities for students, and more information will be coming out on that. But for ESY itself, we will be based on the COVID restrictions, offering ESY services through a virtual platform only. So again, due to the COVID restrictions that we have, we cannot offer any face-to-face services for any service or instruction. And we definitely will keep you posted and teachers posted on updates to this, but right now we're looking at ESY virtually, and more information will be coming probably within this week to parents. We'll send out an all-call as well as sending a letter home to parents explaining what ESY will exactly look like.
And typically, students who qualify or who are eligible for ESY are students who are in SDC classes?
Typically, but there are some students who the team feels that, you know, based on significant regression in recruitment, that their child might qualify. So I would refer back to your child's IEP to see if they do qualify for ESY services.
Okay, and some people feel like if they do, like they feel like they their child does qualify, whether, you know, they're in a gen ed placement, but that they are regressing, and especially because of this new circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
And then would they have to have an IEP meeting to officially make them eligible?
Well, that's a team decision.
Yeah.
And primarily we're looking at students who have ESY on their IEPs already and who
Like pre-COVID.
Yeah, and who do qualify. But like I said, as we're looking at planning some other enrichment opportunities that we hope that all students can take advantage of, so that we're continuing to, provide that support even through the summer. But definitely for our extended school year, they have to have extended school year qualification on their IEP.
Right, okay, that's great. And just to be clear, that deadline, the 15th, is not the hard deadline.
There is no hard deadline.
No hard deadline, guys.
We want you to enroll as soon as you can. Just get on Parent View, and if you need help with that, your school site should be able to provide you support to log on.
Okay, and we might be getting other enrichment that won't be ESY, but it'll be other enrichment that we can do online. I don't want to do anything during the summer, just to be clear. Nothing for me. Okay. So then let's talk about the do no harm policy. So what does that mean when it comes to retention and supporting students when school resumes? Dr. Brown.
So do no harm, that phrase has been used in a couple of ways in this experience. One in relation to giving grades for students, and our statement has been that in our grading practices we will do no harm, meaning a student's grade will not be lower than when this experience began on March 13th, with the exception being if the student were not to participate in any education or engage in any way since that date. So that's the first way that the phrase has been used. It's also been used in reference to students with IEPs, and that our requirement in this time has been not only to do no harm, but to make a good faith effort to implement the IEP as it's been written to the best that we can in this situation. And that is a really, really hard thing to do. It's a really hard circumstance for you, and it's a really hard circumstance for teachers and for related service providers who want to serve students and fully implement those IEPs as they were written. And so what I want to assure you about is as we return to school, we will be able to evaluate students' needs, we will be able to incorporate the level of support that they need, and we don't want to predict what those needs will be upon their return. We know that every child with or without an IEP is experiencing a change and some regression in this process. And we want you to, as your child resumes and comes back to school, to know that we are going to be working really diligently to assess where they are, listen to you in terms of what their needs are, and make decisions based on what those needs are at the time. So I just want to share a heartfelt, empathetic voice with you. I feel like I've been carrying you in the last 8 weeks, really worrying about the experience that you're having. Recognizing that every parent of any child is having a challenge right now, but really intimately knowing a lot of the struggles of our parents. I call you Uber parents, parents who parent beyond what many do because of the needs and the nature of your students' needs. And so I want to tell you that we are holding you close and really working hard to make good decisions for you going forward. And with that, I know you're all having a very individual experience. So I want to acknowledge that individual experience while saying that part of the responsibility of all of us here is to make good decisions on behalf of the school district and on the behalf of the 10,414 students that we serve with IEPs.
Dr. Brown, can I add on?
Please.
So I'm gonna bring a little silver lining. When we think about grades and how grades could be used as a way to motivate students or motivating for students, and now that we're in the do no harm policy, I think that one thing that has been the silver lining is that students are really being drawn to distance learning based off of it being a meaningful experience, right? So we're seeing teachers do really amazingly creative things to get their students to come to Google Meets, to get them to participate in the learning. So when we think about what's motivating kids to participate and show up when they can, it's this shift from I'm doing it for a result more to I'm doing it because this is an opportunity for me to engage in learning. And I think our teachers have been working really hard to try to make sure that all of the learning opportunities are accessible, that they're looking at multiple ways of presenting the information, providing choice so that students are encouraged to be there. And I think it has to be said that a part of it has to do with the relationships that we have with our students and that teachers have with their students, and how that has become such a big part of why we're in a do no harm policy, that it's really focusing and shifting on what is that meaningful learning experience, what is that meaningful relationship I have with these support providers and teachers that are there for me. So I like to bring the silver lining, and so I'm holding on to that as part of this.
It is a silver lining. And I just want to say, okay, so when you have a student with a disability, early on we're told that time is our greatest commodity. And so we feel like we're on this race to get our kid, ahead or at least keeping up. And we have this feeling of anxiety that our kids are going to be kicked out because they're not keeping on track or whatever. And so that's what I felt the most. I felt like, is my kid's going to fall behind? And I feel like this is harming my kid. And and there are other families who are having, it might be hard for them to trust what Dr. Brown just said, that the district is going to have our kids, they're going to catch our kids when school comes back. That whatever our kids are like when they come back, the district is going to have them, and they're going to support them whatever they need. And I know that can be hard for some families to hear and to trust, but what I'm begging us all to do is to just trust. Like, I honestly feel that we are going to come back better, and that our kids are going to be supported, and our kids are going to be better for it. And this isn't the worst thing that's ever happened to them. This isn't going to be the worst year that ever happened to them. So I feel, I just wanted to add that because I think in the beginning I felt this is harming my kid, but I don't feel that way anymore. And so this isn't the worst thing that happened to my kid. The worst thing that happened to my kid was when he was 3, he fell on a cactus. That was the worst thing that happened to my kid. But that was bad. I still have nightmares about it. Okay, so moving on. Dr. Heenan, here we go. What is happening with IEPs?
Drum roll.
Yes.
Well, I am happy to report, we don't do things perfectly. Nobody does things perfectly. We try to make decisions what's best for students and what's best for families. So before the U.S. Department of Education even came out with requirements and recommendations, we said, you know what, we can't wait. We can't wait, even though we are, bound to follow their guidance. We said we really need to do what's best and to communicate with families, to provide services to the best of our ability during school closure, to hold IEPs. So before we even got back to distance learning, our teachers and our administrators were putting together trainings for holding IEPs virtually. And so we provided a virtual training to everybody in the district, including our gen ed peers have access to that training, our principals, so that when IEPs are due, we can hold those meetings. So right now it's required that we are holding firm as closely as possible to get those IEPs done, and teachers are prepared to hold them virtually. So some of the questions are coming in, as far as Chromebook accessibility, and hopefully most families now have Chromebooks, and teachers will send them a link, and they click on the link, and that will provide them access to a Google Meet, just like this, where they can hold their IEPs virtually. Some parents don't have access, and we're allowing them to hold IEPs through teleconference if possible. And then if there are parents who just right now at this time, they're struggling with a lot of concerns at home, and they're requesting that we hold off on the IEP, we're trying very hard to hold those meetings just to make sure that we have an offer of FAPE on the table. We can still continue to provide services. But in some instances, we will honor a parent's request to hold off until things settle down a little bit. But the case carrier will continue to reach out to the parent and hopefully get that IEP held as soon as possible. There was, I think that's it for that one.
What about translation?
Translation services are just exactly as they are during the school year. So if an interpreter is required and needed for that meeting, the school and the case carrier can set up an interpreter to join the meeting as well. So the interpreting should be real time as well.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're saying that they will be held virtually,
Correct.
but what if, like, for example, like my kid was in the middle of a try
Yeah.
of assessments,
Yeah.
and they can't assess him, so
Right.
that has to wait.
That's a great question. So if face-to-face testing is needed, that is going to have to wait. So we'll have to wait till the fall because, I mean, as you know, the validity of testing, through Skype is, it's not there. So any sort of face-to-face testing has to continue in the fall. But a lot of psychologists say, well, you know what, I've been collecting data on the student, I've partially assessed them, and I want to at least get together and talk about what I've assessed and some of my results. And the teacher says, well, I have a report. And so the team is absolutely, it's absolutely okay for them to go ahead and start the meeting. Talk about everything that they have. They might have teacher reports from the gen ed teachers, include as much information as possible, and then wait till the fall to finish any in-person assessments. So do you want to add anything as far as the assessment part?
Okay. And can we meet with our IEP teams without calling an IEP? Like, say the parents just want support from the whole team, is that something that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd recommend if you have questions about support and supporting the IEP is what you were talking about, and
Yeah.
how to provide services or whatever, I would recommend the whole team come together because we always say we're better together.
Yeah.
There's also other ideas that can be shared from other providers. You absolutely, like every parent, teacher does, you're absolutely welcome to pick up the phone and call, say, hey, I want to just talk to you about things. But I would recommend that you bring all the people to the table if you're going to talk about anything about the student's IEP and services.
Right. Okay, and that's all available now, just have to call and make an appointment and.
Right, so parent can request an IEP at any time, and we're still holding by the 30-day timeline.
Right. Okay. That's what we have for IEPs, okay. So, yeah, there was one situation where a parent hadn't come to, an agreement at their last IEP about placement, and then, closure happened, and then now they feel like, do I have to wait till school resumes to finalize this IEP? You're saying that person can have a virtual IEP meeting.
Right, that's a great question. Virtual IEP meeting can happen at any time, and I would highly recommend they try to pull the team back together now,
Yeah.
because it's usually like one or two issues
Yeah.
that aren't being resolved, but the whole rest of the IEP is in agreement. So it's kind of like, let's pull everyone together now, let's agree to as many things as we can so that when we come back in the fall, and I'm being hopeful, we come back in the fall, then we can implement that IEP and maybe just leave that one issue to be addressed at a next IEP. But we want to get complete IEP agreement so that the student can have their services and their education and everything rolling as soon as possible.
Right. Is there like specific office hours that everybody's holding to arrange these meetings?
No, I think the teachers are reaching out to the parents individually, just like they would offer, a few IEP days. The teachers are responsible to reach out to parents and see if there's a time they can all meet together.
Okay.
Because of our situation, teachers have more flexibility to hold a meeting during the school day. But if a family needs to have a meeting before or after, then that's certainly a possibility as well.
Okay. Not like on Saturday or like 10
Yeah.
o'clock on.
Weekends are not possible, but other days are possible.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Oh, it's another one for you, Dr. Hinnon. So I know that support services are now being offered virtually, but is there a plan for makeup services for missed sessions, like speech and OT, that were missed for the 6-week gap during closure?
That's a great question. I think the $1 million question.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at right now is, like we said before, we're going to try to offer some virtual options this summer for enrichment for every student. And what the guidance we're getting from CDE for parents is that if they would like to talk to their IEP team about, you know, the closure and what it looks like and the lack of services during that time, that's something that would be brought to the IEP team. And that is the recommendation that we are also following. So we're asking parents to go back to the IEP team to talk about missed services. And then also we're talking about, like I said, is, you know, maybe there's something we can provide in the summer. So we're kind of brainstorming some options, but we definitely will have more information as we can make these decisions and get these programs going.
Yeah, I feel like maybe you can speak a little bit about the work that it took to transition from in-service, I'm talking about like speech, OT, and those kinds of services, to the virtual, because there was a gap, and I understand that gap is because a lot of people had to learn how to do this, right?
I'll start, and then Rochelle, I think you can add on. First of all, we have absolutely been building a school district within a school district in every way. We were not prepared for what we have had to do. And so, yes, there has been a need to very quickly plan and teach and work hard to do the things that we're doing. What has been really important is that we have followed the pattern of what is being afforded to students in general education. So if you recall, the first week following the March 13th closure, we said, everybody take a break. And yes, part of our take a break was because we felt like it was needed in the system and the community. And part of it was to allow a group of us to work really, really hard during that time to be prepared for what lied ahead. So yes, some of the gap in between has been to be really prepared. But since we have begun synchronous lessons with all of our students, we have worked really hard to make sure that we are providing related services that can attach to that program. The thing that seems really important to talk about in the spirit of FAPE, or free and appropriate public education, is that there's an educational program that the services then get attached to. And when you've greatly changed the services that are provided in the educational program, it means that there will be a companion change to those related services. So that's something that we've been carrying the whole time and really working hard to try to build a system within a system. I'm calling it Long Beach Unified 2.0, because that's what it's felt like in the creation. So Rochelle has had, she won't brag on herself, but I will brag on her. She's had a really instrumental role as one of our curriculum leaders in special education, and so she has been a coach and a guide and an instructor for our instructors as they're learning how to provide services and supports differently.
Yeah, I can just speak a little bit. I'm just gonna look at Robin.
Thank
because
you.
The camera's
It's
distracting.
Yeah, it's distracting.
We're not gonna look at you.
But we definitely kind of shifted from having to learn this 2.0 way to now, I mean, we had hundreds and hundreds of trainings that are still going on, and thousands of our teachers participating in them and participating in them multiple times. And really seeing this shift from, well, I need to learn the technology, to what are the best practices for distance learning, for virtual sessions, for services. So that has become where we are now. But truly, initially, it was, we really just need to learn what is available? How do we use these in order to be able to deliver instruction that is meaningful? And I will keep going back to that it needs to be meaningful instruction, because that's why we're doing this. We're doing this so kids can continue to think, continue to feel connected, and it takes a lot of work with our families. It takes a lot of work for our students, and it takes a lot of work internally for a system to learn how to do that and how to do that following, best practices for what does that look like. So pedagogy doesn't go out the door because now we're teaching virtually. Like, we still need to make sure that kids are making meaning out of what we're doing. We need to check for understanding. We need to, bring closure to lessons and kind of make this connection between what is it that you're doing synchronously and how is that connected to what, and how am I supporting that you and being able to then be successful and this release to be able to do things asynchronously. And I will also say that there's an element of making sure that directions, lessons, assignments have the utmost clarity, because we know how much our parents and families are involved in supporting this. And so, even the tech side of what has been developed to support families and understand, like, how do we get into Google Classroom? How do I know what assignments to do? There's lots of layers of learning, and I really could not be more proud of our teachers for how they have risen to the occasion. And we really have shifted to a place now where we're continuing to offer that training around how do you, use the technology, but it's really shifted to our teachers being so creative and sharing with each other and really finding ways to stay connected with their students and families that I've been just thoroughly impressed and blown away with their ability to share with each other as kind of a cohort of like teachers who are really trying to be supportive to families. Just going above and beyond. So yeah, there's been a lot of kind of a system within a system happening. But I really do believe that we are going to come out stronger and have more tools in our tool belt to be able to support students and families.
Yeah, I think that teachers are showing their vulnerability in a way that is really blowing me away. And when we talk about grace, I mean, we have to show grace to these teachers because, they had to learn a whole new system in a matter of weeks. And so I feel like we should show them the same grace that we want them to show our kids. Because I want them to see my kid as a person, look past his diagnosis, look past his file, look past his silly noises and scary drawings, and see him as a person. And so I'm allowing these teachers and the teachers in his lives the grace and the time to adjust. And I think, like, if the first thing that came to your mind when you didn't hear from your SLP or RSP or whatever, if your first thought should be, I hope that person's okay. It shouldn't be, this person is, doing damage to my kid on purpose, because I don't think that's what it is. I think that people are trying the best that they can, and there are some people that are really blowing it out of the water. And I think we have to highlight that. It is, some of the work that's being done right now is amazing, and I can't say enough about it. Yes.
On that. So what I was sharing with Dr. Brown and shared with you earlier is the silver linings, the positive things that are coming out of this are amazing, and you have to really look at those and celebrate those. A speech therapist emailed me last week and said, I am so sorry to email you. I know you have so much going on, but I want to share with you one of the positive outcomes of a student that I work with who is nonverbal. And when I work with him in the session, we use a communication device to communicate back and forth. She said, since I've been working with him online, virtually, he has started talking to me. And when I read that email, I mean, I had chills because I'm like, this is the things that we celebrate. And now she said, now that I know he's responding virtually, she said, even when we come back to school, she said, I'm going to be holding sessions with him online. So it's just amazing, some of these, like you said, you know, the celebrations that we have to acknowledge, and really the hard work that the staff is doing and the parents are doing to make this all happen.
It seems like every celebration there are a number of challenges as well, but the celebrations feel really good. We have, through Dr. Wendy Rosenquist's leadership, been able to train 600 IA specials, our instructional aides. A question we've been asked forever is, can you provide more training to aides? But it's always a challenge because we can never release aides that we need to be working all the time enough to train them. And then it's the circle that we get into where we have a hard time retaining them, maybe because of training. And so this has afforded us an opportunity to just layer them up with training that is going to help us all upon their return. Now, you may hear that and think, good and well, my child's been home for 8 weeks and there's more time to go. And so it might feel like cold comfort when the good news doesn't completely relieve your situation. But it is important to share that there are also, yes, there are big challenges that are ahead of us, that are with you, but there are also some really important celebrations happening that have allowed us to bring a layer of competence into our system that is different than what's been here prior.
Okay. This is for you, Dr. Brown. A question was submitted about who is reporting back to work at the end of the month. We've heard that non-union staff are going back to school sites at the end of the month. And we really see these people as our people, and we want them to stay safe. So we wanted to know, what is the benefit of these people doing sessions from school sites?
Oh, so let me, thank you for asking that. Thank you for your care for all of our employees who are just working so hard in many different ways. So there was a communication that went out, and we are asking, first of all, we have a number of staff who have never stopped working from our buildings. We are essential workers, and we have been working really hard, some at home and some within our facilities all the time. We have asked that on May 26th, our school office staff, including our administrative teams at the school sites, as well as all of our central office employees, return back to working in their work environment. And we've done that really specifically because we have to close school. And to close school, we need our whole workforce that works from these places, all hands on deck. There's a huge process that happens every year to close school and to prepare for it to begin again. And so we needed to ask those people to return to work to be prepared to engage in those activities that we need to do to close school. With that, there are not people who have been asked, teachers have not been asked to return to work, to engage in online learning from their school sites. They continue to be able to work at home. It's just managers, school office staff, and central office employees that have been asked to come back, and that's beginning on May 26th. And we're really fortunate during this time to have been able to provide a child care option for employees who are returning to work through our Kids Club program. So we have a really fortunate opportunity between May 26th and June 19th to offer a child care option to people who need it because they have to report back.
Okay.
Does that answer the question or the concern?
I think that they thought that it was like OTs and SLPs who were already doing sessions on like at home.
Yeah, so nobody who's a part of our teachers union, which would include speech language pathologists, has been asked to report back to work. We have a couple other groups. Our occupational therapists, physical therapists, psychologists are a part of the managers group. So they have been asked to return, and they'll be providing services and other work from our actual district facilities. I also should mention that we have engaged in a process in preparation for their return to have all of the distancing requirements and protective equipment that we would need to have available for sites upon their return to work. So it's requiring us to do some reconfiguration in our offices and really be prepared to keep our employees in a safe situation as they're back working.
Okay, cool. This is for the inclusion unicorn. Here we go. How can I know if my child is on track academically or falling way behind? Does it even matter?
So, first I just land on that question, does it even matter? And it just makes me think about, when we decided to become parents, we didn't know we were just deciding to worry the rest of our lives. So of course it matters, but I want to kind of go back to what we said earlier, that when students return, there's going to be an evaluation of where they are. We're gonna see where their needs are and make sure that we'll meet them where they are, right? There'll be a plan in place for that. But as far as how do I know where they are right now, your teacher, your case manager, that should be the first point of contact, right? They should have information that they can share about where your child was before school closures occurred, right? So thinking about what data they had before. Hopefully you either had an IEP meeting or a conference or just in normal, interactions had information about where they were. And they should also be able to talk to you about, how they're doing within distance learning. I'm telling you, our teachers are so creative. I talked to someone the other day who, as they're working on, IEP goals within their synchronous instruction, has another computer set up so that she can see their faces because she's taking data. So she's presenting and then she goes on specific kids so she can go through all of her students to see how they're interacting. So our teachers are still gathering data around how they're progressing. So it's informal, right? But it's definitely something to stay in contact with the teacher in case manager to say, how's it been going? And our teachers are also giving feedback. So I think that feedback is important as far as, with anything that they are completing and turning in, what they should have an element of some feedback along with that. And then I've also, had families who just don't know where kids are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so I would direct to look at our content standards. Our content standards for, every content area have the expectations of what we're working towards and what a student should leave that grade level within that content area. And those can be found on our district website, on our special education curriculum page. They're actually all content areas can be found right there. It's a lot, but I definitely think that it is a resource that could be helpful. Again, I just want to say that what's really important right now is first physical health, second is that emotional health, and then within the academics, let's read every day, let's write every day, let's talk, let's use as much language as we can, let's engage in things that have us problem solve, and the guidance that we're getting and the assignments that we're getting from our teachers can definitely be like a catalyst for a lot more. And I think it's really just about staying in, communication with the teachers.
Yeah. Yeah. It does matter.
It matters.
And there's no testing this year.
Correct.
That's
correct.
Is that gonna be canceled next year too, or?
Don't know.
Don't know.
She's gonna keep trying.
Are you trying for more breaking news?
Breaking news. Okay, so, nobody's testing, okay. Due to this crisis, the district is now in a precarious situation financially with economic instability and a huge budget shortfall. What reassurances can you provide parents that special education will not be gutted? Will programs like the CCT pilot program be affected and be allowed to grow?
Yeah, I can tell you, yes, we have some hard times in front of us from a budgetary standpoint. The governor's May revise will be out in the next week or so. So we will have some more specific information at that time about what our budget circumstances look like. But yes, we are battening down the hatches for some challenging times. I can tell you that our special ed programs will not be gutted, that we will be responsible for the obligations made in students' IEPs and for the philosophy behind the things that we've begun. The collaborative co-teaching program that you mentioned has been done with a lot of planning, a lot of data gathering, and a lot of expectation about the opportunity that is afforded to students who have a more inclusive experience. So it's something that we are committed to do. But there are going to be some hard decisions that are going to be in front of us that will affect all of our schools in some ways. You can't make cuts without having it touch someone and often everyone. But the word gutted stands out to me, and it's too strong for what is expected. It's not something that I think will happen, although I would not be real with you if I didn't say some challenges will lie ahead.
Yeah. That's a good answer. So CTK is going on next year.
It's going on next year.
Still alive. Okay. Where are we at time? Oh gosh. Okay, this is the big question, and I shouldn't have saved it for last. I should have went first. So the most common concern we heard from parents was actually doing the home learning. Many parents work full-time, or they work from home or out of the home, or they have more than one child, and they feel completely overwhelmed by the home learning opportunities. One family said that they're paying a tutor $40 a day to help their child keep up, and it's not enough. Another family said that they have multiple kids at home with IEPs, and the parent cannot physically support them all. And these parents are seeing their kids regress, they're seeing them fall behind, and we're all being crushed by the idea that we're letting down our kids. How can you help us?
Yeah, I'll start, and please chime in. As if parenting isn't hard enough, then we guilt ourselves at every point, even for things that we can't control. And so I want to say that I really recognize that this idea of time and the feeling of needing to have time, loss of time, or just the pressure that is felt around time in our disabled community is a really important thing. And in many ways, the loss of time is a trigger for so many people, so many of our parents, because of what you have learned and believed about your child's disability, about what you have learned and believed about the services that you have, in many cases, worked hard, fought, I'm going to use the word fought, to have. And so the idea that all of that has been lost or put on hold right now is a triggering and really upsetting thing. And so to that, I want to say I see you, and I really hold that worry with you. And this has been a really different time. This hasn't been a time like any other. And what I would encourage you as both a professional and as a parent is to worry less about the issue of regression and focus more on engagement. You don't have to be their teacher. I know they're learning at home. You do not have to be their teacher while they're at home. But what you can do is engage with them about their learning. Take learning opportunities that are there for them, which could include planting a garden, which could include working on a new language or working on a native language, which could include building vocabulary, which could include reading to them or with them. So take those learning opportunities. I think about, for those of you that know Temple Grandin, her mother was just so amazing so many years ago, because what she did before the idea of applied behavior analysis existed is she said, I'm going to give her as many hours of engagement in the world as I can. And that's the message that I would share with all of you. As much time as you can engage with your kids and engage them in their surroundings that don't just involve a screen, but that happen around your home and outside of your home, those are going to be powerful things. And I think when you do that, there may be some relief in this idea about a loss, because when we return, we are going to resume. We're going to resume with the services that they have had and more if they need them. And I think our kids have better muscle memory than what we give them credit for. I think that when they're back with us in the environment that is school, because I know for a lot of you, having a teacher fly into your computer in your kitchen is alarming for a lot of your kids, and they won't participate because I'm not supposed to see this person here right now. But I think when they're back with us, they're going to have better muscle memory for the learning that happens at school than what we have thought they might. So.
I have a couple of things to add. One is just in thinking about the work that I'm doing with teachers and how I'm really trying to help them to make their virtual classroom an extension of what their actual classroom was, is thinking about what are things that are comforting to kids, what are maybe routines that we're comforting, what are structures that kids are used to that can also be helpful and be continued at home. And you guys know your kids best. So if your child responds to, a visual schedule, then let's try it. If your child responds to, using a planner to organize or using a checklist, right? Those are all things that we can try to continue to use at home. And I say try because that's what we're doing, to help with that consistency and to help them to feel some regular in a time that doesn't feel regular. I also think that it's really important to continue to connect with your teacher and case manager around what are their priorities for learning, and really based off of what are their IEP goals. And if there are priorities for learning, that's where we want to focus our time. If there's something that doesn't feel like a priority, then let's make sure that they're still receiving all of the adaptations that they need, right? Maybe they don't have to show their understanding of a PE assignment the same way that everyone else is. But in that communication and really your teacher and your case manager helping to facilitate that with when they have multiple teachers of, we want to prioritize some certain things. We're going to continue to engage. But we need to make sure that it's accessible, and we need to make sure that, if modifications should be in place, that they need to be in place.
Just, I echo, I think, what they said, but one of the things that struck me with that is letting our kids down. We're not letting our kids down. You're not letting your kids down. We're all in this together. And like we talked about before, is if your physical health and your mental health are not strong, we're not healthy, we can't focus on academics. So maybe it's time, sometimes it's okay to say, you know what, I need to step away from the computer for a little bit. I need to read with my child, I need to play with them, I need to jump with them. That's learning. And we go back to preschool, we learn through play, so maybe we're looking at Uno cards, we're matching them, we're adding, we're playing it, they're learning. But give, like I said, and I started with, give yourself grace as a parent to say, you know what, today is not a good day. I need to step away from the computer, and we need to do something else today. Maybe tomorrow we'll try it again. Paint, play, do whatever you can, and just know that it's okay.
Remember, Thursdays are minimum days.
Oh, it's good you pointed that out.
Thursdays we end early. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for leaving the house. There's always going to be a bunch of questions, and we'll probably just have to send them to you directly when we get more. But I think this is a good discussion for us to have, and so thank you so much.
Yes.
And thank you for submitting your concerns and your questions and showing your own vulnerability in that way. Yes, please. Oh, yes.
Are available, so of the special ed administrators.
Yes. Oh.
Oh, great. Hi, Simon Paul, special ed administrator in the corner. I just want to add that the special ed administrators are available. You can reach us via email, call us at the office. We can schedule Zooms, and just talk through some of the issues that you might be having. We are available. And then just to reiterate, you are doing more than enough. And focus on the skills. I have a 4 and a 5-year-old at home, and so we're doing a lot of fort building and hide and seek building. Making sourdough bread is our new thing, and all you need is flour and water. So, just you're doing enough, and you are the most important person. So, thank you.
I want to start making sourdough bread too. I need a starter. I need a starter. I don't even know what it is, but I need it. Okay, so we have, like regular CAC meetings, we have our public comment, good news, shout outs. We have 3, actually we have 4 because I have one. And I want to give the biggest shout out I can to my son's first grade teacher, Miss Warner, over at Los Cerritos. She's been great all year. I don't know why it's taking me this long to really shout out, but what I saw today, so my son has not been doing well with the Google Classroom, with all the faces, and so he watches, but he doesn't really participate. And so I just kind of let him go with the computer, and I was watching him yesterday, and at the end of the meet, all the kids logged off, and the teacher stayed on, and there was like one other kid and Rex, and as soon as all those kids left, he just like opened up, and he took himself off mute, and he was like, Miss Warner, and he was showing her all these pictures, and he lit up in a way that, he hadn't like all day, and he had this real moment of connection, and she spent like 15 minutes on the Google Meet with them, just show me more. Oh, what is that? What, and that kind of interaction and those kinds of connections are game changers for him. And so, I'm sad that he only got half a year with her, but she is going above and beyond with creating these connection moments for him. And I'm so, so grateful. And so, yes, so Mrs. Warner over at Los Cerritos is wonderful. And so these are the other public comments that were emailed, and I'm going to have my board read, so it's less me. And we're going to start with Sam. You're going to read.
Okay, this is from Mr. Sovachana Pau. Thank you for taking time to read our concerns. During this unprecedented pandemic, we are sure that other parents have faced similar difficulties raising a child or children with disabilities. For us, the main challenge of remote learning is to keep Sumanik engaged. The home setting is totally different from the school environment. We are doing the best we can with new responsibilities, but no matter how hard we work with him, his individual education plan will not be met through a distance learning format advocated by the district now. Real-time interaction between the classroom teacher, school professionals, and special needs students is key to IEP. So feedback, correction, and empowerment are taking the place on the daily basis to improve learning.
So we have a hard out at 2:30, so let's, I don't want to read too fast for translation. But I think I'm gonna read the other 2. So we've got one from Cesar Armendaris, who is one of our best boosters. He says, as a teacher, dad, and husband, I find myself constantly asking the question, am I doing enough? And to be quite honest, the answer is almost always no. I feel like I'm not playing enough with my son to help his development. I'm not doing enough to help my students pass their AP test. I'm not doing enough to help my wife when she's feeling overwhelmed. I know most of us are struggling with these feelings because we care a whole lot about the people in our lives who make up our village. But if we are still being honest, let's accept that we will rarely feel like we are doing enough. The love for our village will always be greater than the hours in the day, the energy in our bodies, or the bandwidth in our minds. Focusing on our shortcomings will only lead us to hopelessness and depression. It's not necessary. Instead, we should ask ourselves, have I done what I can given the circumstances? For me, the answer is almost always yes, and I bet that all of you in CAC are doing everything you can for your kids too. We wash clothes, we cook, we go to work, we play with our kids, we check in with our extended family, we painstakingly navigate the grocery stores. We carry our loved ones' emotional burdens, and sometimes we even get to take care of ourselves. Every single one of those tasks are victories and should be celebrated. We're doing the best we can for our village, and that in itself is enough. And we do have another short one from Sarah Roselli, MS teacher at Poly. And I just want to read the last bit. She said, during distance learning, the best part of my time lately is when we have classroom virtual meetings because everyone is so excited to see each other. It is hard on everyone to be apart from our friends and our community, but just seeing the excitement on the students' faces makes my day. And I wanted to get those shout outs in just because that's how we end a CAC meeting. And I also wanted to just say that this is our last CAC meeting of the school year, and this was not the meeting that we had planned. You know, we were gonna have a party. I was gonna bring deviled eggs.
I was gonna bring pizza.
I mean, we had a lot of plans. We were gonna do movie screenings and CAC play days, and Paula Kluth was gonna come to Long Beach, and this was our all means all year. And meeting this way is hard because I miss our community, and I miss seeing Viola May and Paloma. I miss seeing Adrian Rivera, Stephanie Cornell. I miss seeing Jiki Steinberg and Emily Perez and the Buffum table. I miss Shannon McCabe and Sarah Roselli and Katie and Jacinda always being willing to stand up and speak, you know, and share their good news during good news and shout outs. I miss the wisdom and insight of Mr. Powell. I miss Martha Della Torre and her determination. I miss Ketty Cuba and Syra. And I miss, you know, future CAC president Christina Siccola. I miss seeing your guys' faces. I miss Ken Owens fixing everything.
Yeah, me too.
I miss Dr. Prelo and Julie Denmian and so many more. And I just want to say that I'm grateful for every single person who's come to a CAC meeting this year. And this community inspires me, and we are resilient, and we will come out of this stronger and more connected. And I cannot wait to see you next fall. 227.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.